Hello, I'm back from my last video that I promised. This is the Sky Face set from Sonia G. So, if you don't know much about her brushes, I suppose I should have said this in the last few videos, huh? They're made in Japan, handmade by artisans. The hair is shaped, and the way they make them, the tips are not cut, so they're all very soft. So there's a couple different series that she offers. So the Sky Face set is unique in that it uses a blue lacquered handles and the tips of the handles taper. Compared to her normal brush line, the handles are red and they come to a blunt end here and they have her logo stamped on the end. These brushes don't actually have the ability to stand up, but that's besides the point. So these just have different handles, and these are the same handles she has on her Pro line of brushes, these tapered ends, probably because they take up less bulk, and that's probably why she called these travel brushes, even though they're full-size brushes lengthwise. Travel brushes to me would end about right here. So another reason why I think she made them long is because the balance is better with that long handle. Otherwise, she would have to weight the handle, and that requires some finagling on the ends of the handles. So all of these brushes I'm going to be talking about are saikoho hair. Unless they're brown, then they're dyed saikoho hair, with the exception of this one, which is Hakuototsuho, which is a grade of goat hair that's still soft, especially the one that she chooses to use for her brush, but it's a little more firm and has more resilience in body. So I'm going to be going in the order that's listed on the website just to make it simple. So this is the worker face. This brush is a mixture of undyed, you can see the white, and dyed saikoho goat. So if you ever want like a big round powder brush, this would be it. For me, it doesn't bloom very much, and this is how it looks like when I wash and dry it without a brush guard. So I mean, when it first comes, you're probably going to have something that looks more like this, but after you wash it, it doesn't puff up crazy. So this one is good for buffing on powder or buffing on bronzer. You can use this one for buffing on cream bronzer. I have done it before and it's actually quite fantastic for that. But this is like an overall face brush or a finishing blend brush. It's not a true finishing brush where you just kind of go all over the place with it. This will muddy up and mix up things because it does have a lot of strength to it. It's not the floppy finishing brushes that you might be thinking of, but it does finish in that it takes down texture. So what I would use this for is to finish off after you've set your foundation of powder. You kind of go over with this and you at the same time remove excess powder and redistribute it to other areas, so then you get this smooth blank canvas with which you can then apply blush, contour, highlight, all your other things on top of. So that's what this is good for. And I guess instead of using it clean to blend everything out, when you're doing the blending thing, you could just take a bunch of bronzer and then kind of change the color temperature of your face. So when I do all over bronzer like that, or with this brush, I'm not actually aiming to bronze. I'm aiming to change the color tone. So I'm still about the same lightness, but I take my skin from pink to yellow or yellow to more neutral. So that's why I use this brush for kind of overall color correcting and texture correcting. In terms of density, it's not super dense, which is the nice part. So you won't have a whole bunch packed on, and you do get to control it. So that's how it looks like, moving it around. And I mentioned in the demonstration video for this, you can use this for setting powder. You just have to not want to get very small areas. Because there's so much hair in this, it will hold has the capacity to reservoir a lot of powder. So if you just apply it on like that, you're going to end up getting a very matte look. So that's one thing to watch out for if you are using this to apply powder target. But if you're doing it all over, it doesn't matter because you're going to be blending it all over anyways. Next up is the classic cheek. This is saikoho. It's a little bit dirty right now because I use it to apply Target powder earlier. So you've got your traditional paddle shape. This one's a rather fat paddle. As you can see, it's a roval shape. It looks almost round, but it's an oval. So what I use this one mostly for is for sliding on powder to, well, set. And then I can use this for blush, and I can use this for highlight and contour if I wanted to. And because this is a very sort of silky type of hair, when you drag it across the skin like this, you don't feel any friction whatsoever. It feels very pleasant and super nice. It is on the smaller side for a cheek brush, so depending on if you want to just slap your blush on in 2 strokes and go, this is probably not your brush. If you want to like slowly build it up, like kind of like watercolor it on and like build up intensity here, or like put another color there, this is a good one for sort of more patient, detailed blush application. Let's compare that one to the mini cheek. This one is a combination of dyed and undyed saikoho goat hair. It's kind of the same fat, fluffy paddle concept, just scaled down a lot. And I think the reason why she chose to go with half of the hairs dyed is because it gives it a little more grab, so hold on a little bit more powder. It doesn't have the same volume of hair to hold a bunch of powder or pigment. So instead of making the hair super dense, making the hairs dyed gives it enough hold to hold on to more. So this one will be your, typical under the eye powdering, even more target powdering if you wanted it, and also shading out the nose, contouring the orbital socket out into the corners of the eyes, contour, highlight, a little bit small for a blush brush, so I wouldn't recommend it for that, but it fits very nicely into these areas. And well, on my face at least. I don't know how it would be on other people's faces, depending on if you have bigger or smaller or more prominent, less prominent features. But this one's just a very nice overall detail target brush. Like I said, I don't find myself using it for blush, but I do find myself just reaching for it if there's something I need to fix around the face. Like say I notice, oh, my foundation here doesn't quite blend into my concealer. I'll take this brush and kind of like work it at the edges for a while, and then it'll kind of go poof, and then all blended, all good, we're fine. So this is my oops brush, my not magic eraser, but the oh shit, I need to fix it. I need to fix something brush. The Lancer of brushes. And then I have the soft cheek. This one is a round brush, dyed hair, and this one's very loose and fluffy. Again, I think the reason why she chose dyed hair for this is so it compensates for the lack of hair volume, but still allows it to hold on to pigment and powder well. This one, you get a lot more spread. Like I'm barely touching the tip to the skin. I'm just moving it around after touching the tip to the skin. You can see how much area it covers. If you like big blush, this would be a good blush brush, but this is more of a powder brush for me. Again, target powder as well as bronzer because of that nice spread. Like if you don't want a big dense brush like this for bronzer, this one would be an excellent substitution. And then I know I'm going to get some questions about how it compares to the Wayne Goss. I'll answer that at the end. This is probably the least versatile brush of the bunch after this one, just because of how much area they cover. And I'll be talking about my rankings at the very end as well. And then I have the Worker Fan. I almost called it the Worker 3 by accident. No, this is a Worker Fan. This is a medium-sized fan brush. I'll compare to the other 2 fan brushes I have at the end. This is made of Hakuototsuho hair. It has more firmness, more body, but it's still very smooth. So this one is a great brush for contour, swiping on blush. You can use it for highlighters, though it won't be quite precise like you want it to be. You can use it for highlight down the nose, but I don't because I like a very thin stripe down the nose. But for like say highlighting the edges of my forehead to widen out my face, this one works just fine for it. This one is probably the most versatile brush and probably my favorite. So let's talk about my rankings, why, and then I'll get into comparisons. It sounds like I'm rushing this video a bit. I kind of am. So because I've answered a lot of these sort of like comparison questions in my previous video, so I might like skip a few things here. So I'm going to rank them. I'm going from most to least favorite, by the way. Here. And by most to least favorite, this is what I would buy in order if I was going to buy them. If I was to buy all of them again in singles instead of buying them all one go in a set. So favorite to least favorite. This one I just really love because it can do so much. Like I said, the only thing it really can't do is precision highlighter. And that's what I have my big eye brushes for, like my T6. I just use those for highlighter instead. If I'm I pair those with this brush. This one is the second most versatile, so you're going to see a theme. I really like versatile. Blush, contour, highlight, because it does have that point. It does have the capability to do highlight, but will be more of an area of effect highlight. If I wanted a more precise highlight, again, I would just use a big eye brush for this. So this is kind of like the same thing that I would use this for. It's just that this one is so much bigger and more generous. I like this one more, even though like the more sane choice I would probably recommend to people would be the classic cheek. And then this one, like I said, it's my oops, I need to fix something brush. I grab this one and then I do whatever I need to do with it. This one is not quite as much of a favorite because I have a lot of other brushes like this already. Like for example, my Koyudo Fuwa and my again Koyudo mushroom brush and a couple other ones. So this one is a powder brush I use, but it's not my favorite one that I reach for because it is ever so slightly too dense for me. Like my favorite one would probably be the Koyudo white mushroom. It's about the same size, a little bigger, but it has more flexibility to the bristles and has more forgivingness. And you do feel a bit of the texture in the dyed bristles compared to, say, this one. Like this one's extremely smooth. This one you do feel a little bit stopping, a little bit of friction, but it doesn't drag. So that's this master face. If you want this brush for blending, it's a good one, but otherwise, if you have other brushes for overall blending, I would say this one is maybe should not get. And then finally we have this one, this brush that you could use for lightly overall blending, Target powder brush. It's just the, I guess, utility of it. I find myself reaching for it least. It's not a bad brush. I just reach for it the least out of all these brushes. So that's why this is at the end. Like these are the brushes I reach for the most. And then these are the brushes I kind of have to remind myself to use, if that kind of clarifies it. They're all good brushes. They're just not the brushes for me and my application. And you can kind of get an idea of how I apply things. I kind of use the same brush for a lot of things. And like say my get ready with me office video, you can kind of see I like multi-purpose reusable brushes. So that's the ranking here. I did promise you comparisons between the Wayne Goss 14 and the Sonia G Soft Cheek. I would pick the Sonia G Soft Cheek because I said the dyed bristles have a little bit of texture. Honestly, these bristles have less texture than the undyed bristles on this brush, so that's why I would pick this one over this one, even though it is bigger and slightly less controllable and more area coverage. It just feels better to me. So that's the comparison I know somebody was going to ask for. And I also promised you comparisons on the fan brushes. So I did a video on these red-handled brushes earlier. Look up the fundamental set and supplemental brushes. So we got Goldilocks going on. We got big, medium, and small. So you can see not only do they go in size from length up and down, but also width. So this is the brush that I would use for precision highlight. This one, not so precision highlight. You could, but it's better for contour because you get more area out of it. And this one is, well, bronzer, and you can actually get this one for blush because of that edge. Like, see? Pretty good blush brush, pretty good blush brush, pretty good blush brush. Highlighter brush? No. Contour brush? Contour sculpting-ish brush? Not so contour brush because the line would be a little harsh and I would have to do a lot of blending. It doesn't quite have the body and resilience to really do contour. It makes up for it by being able to do highlight really finely. But this is the most versatile multitasking brush. Well, yeah, you can see why because of the size. And then somebody had asked in a previous video, out of all the Sonia G brushes, pick 2 face brushes and pick 1 eye brush. This was one of the face brushes I picked. The other face brush I picked was this round one, so like drastically different shapes. Because the way I approached it was, if I was building a collection of brushes from ground up, what brushes would I pick? So then this kind of just covers what I think a brush set should have. A round brush and a paddle brush. This paddle brush will be in a fan shape, but that fan shape allows it to do a lot of things. Versus the fat paddle shape, it kind of does less. It can do the same things, but it does it less easily because of how flared it is. If it was to be a flatter paddle, like say this airbrush, it's still a paddle, but it's so much thinner, and it's almost the same profile as this fan brush. And that's what this allows this is a Wayne Goss airbrush to be so much more versatile. And that's why I like this. It's very versatile. Whatever you need it to do, granted it's not very small area, this brush can do it. So I think I am done here. Wow, that was surprisingly fast. But 1 year update. I love these brushes. I dropped them multiple times already. Oops. But to give you an idea, none of these have chipped. I did have a slight chipping on one of the red handled brushes that I kind of patched up with a little bit of nail polish. We're not going to speak about that. But overall, these brushes are holding up really well. Like, I'm sure if I watched my old video, these would look pretty much identical. As far as hair loss, I lose a couple hairs, like 1 or 2 here and there, but even in the beginning, I probably lost only like 1, 2, maybe 3 hairs out of like this brush and this brush, because they have the most hair and they have the most hair to be able to afford to lose. But yeah, they're fantastic. The white brushes still wash white. The only reason they're colored right now is because I used them earlier for stuff. Like, they still turn optic snowy white, and they come out of the package pretty much ready to use, though you probably should still wash them before you use them. And the shapes, all of these are wash and dried without a brush guard, this one included. If you wash and dried it with a brush guard, it'd probably be like this, so it wouldn't have quite as much spread. And then this one would probably be more like this and this, which would make it more suitable for highlight. But it still wouldn't quite have the precision of something like this, because look at that side profile. This brush I do keep in its brush guard after it's dried. So I let it, so I wash it, I let it bloom, then I stick it in this brush guard, and then it sits in my storage area until I'm ready to use it. When I'm using it, I don't keep it in a brush guard, so that's that. So thank you for watching. I'm going to answer some comments and then hop off, and hopefully you enjoyed watching the other videos I did. The other 2 videos I did was a review of all these fundamental brushes and a couple supplements I got. as well as the first video was me actually using a lot of these brushes to apply the makeup that I have on right now. So the light's kind of going down a bit, you wouldn't be able to see, but it's kind of like a smoky eye in purple. So you notice that I do a lot of different lives. However, I'm not sure you're aware, but the time does not count toward your public watch hours until you have 1,000 subs. Yeah, I don't really care about that. I'm mostly doing these videos as an educational thing and because of requests. Like, for example, doing these Sonia G brushes was a request/suggestion of one of my viewers. I was joking, haha, now that I'm no longer filming on a potato, I have a good webcam now. I should probably redo a lot of my videos, huh? And she said, yeah. You know what would be a good idea? Since you're going to since you said you wanted to redo your Sonia G brushes anyways, you should do it soon so then I can make my to-buy list because the Beautylish gift card event is coming soon. That's basically why I'm doing these. And I like doing these videos because it kind of forces me to be creative too, because I'll look at a brush, I'm like, yeah, this brush, it's a blender brush, but then it makes me think, what else can I use this for? How can I demonstrate using this brush in ways that will add more value to the brush and make it more valuable in other people's eyes? For example, this brush, this would be your standard eye blender brush. But since I started doing the videos, I realized, oh, it's a really good concealer brush. So now it's pretty much a concealer brush for me, and I've been using it a lot as a concealer brush, and it's made me love this brush even more. This is the Worker 2, by the way. And then also another example of like thinking outside the box that doing these videos make me do is like this brush. This is the pencil one. The reason why it's red is because I used it as a lip brush today because I was doing preparing for the video and I was thinking, oh, Sonia G doesn't really have a lip brush. If she does, I haven't gotten it yet. Okay, what can I do with lipstick? Because I'm going to do a dark lip and I want to be able to define the shape. So then I thought, oh, this is a great brush to use for a lip brush. It's shaped kind of like a lip pencil. Let's do it. Worked well. And that's why I do these lives and videos and stuff. So, yeah, Pandora's pretty much got it right. You're welcome. Yeah, and then I'm also learning a lot about how I use my brushes because, for example, making myself use a limited number of brushes forces me to get creative. For example, doing this as a lip brush. Up until today, I have never used this as a lip brush. But I was looking at my brushes last night as I was preparing to do the video today. I'm thinking, yeah, this might be a good one to do. Normally, I would just use this for smudging pencil, doing detail eye, or spot concealing on the rare occasions I do spot conceal instead of area conceal. But today it's a lip brush, and going forward I'm thinking, yeah, this is a pretty good lip brush because one thing about this point, because it's a round rolled point, I was really able to get my Cupid's bow super easily with this. Even with the square lip brushes, I'm not able to get my Cupid's bow really easily, but with this one it's whoa, that's pretty nice. The exception would probably be my diamond tipped lip brushes, but I only have 2 of those. So now that I have another one to add to my arsenal, I'm really excited about that. So I'm just going to clean up my area around here a bit and then wait to see if there's a couple more comments that roll in, answer those, then hop off because it is now after 5 p.m. here, and I'm going to go start cooking and making delicious stuff to eat and possibly burn myself again. So something that I guess a lot of people don't realize is I go heavily off the script because I'm very bad at speaking spontaneously. So for every probably recorded minute of video, it's probably somewhere between 7 to 10 minutes of me writing out what I'm going to say, rearranging it in ways that's going to make sense. The only parts that are really off the cuff are when I'm answering questions. But otherwise, my videos are heavily scripted. The prime example being the Get Ready With Me. I had written out every step of what I was going to do and written out which brush I was using with each step so I could just grab it without really thinking too hard about it. And then because I knew if I had to think about it, I'd probably get frazzled and then the video would fall to pieces. And some of you are probably marveling, wow, she does all this prep work and she's still so disorganized. Yes, and that is why I do the prep work, or else these videos would probably be literally unwatchable. Okay. And then at the end of the Get Ready With Me video, I also did a couple products I would recommend getting from Beautylish for their gift card event, which is why these are back here. Oh, and then another part of the time that goes outside the videos is cleaning up. Because I usually make a huge mess over here and then have to kind of put everything back into its place. So between writing and cleaning up, that's probably the biggest time sink. Doing the videos themselves don't take that much time. And then I'm gonna put these brushes back in their guards because I'm gonna put them in a box. Well, actually, I'm gonna continue using that one, so I'm not gonna put it in a guard. Let's see. There's a fan brush. This one I only use for highlighter, so I'm gonna put it back in the box. It's not really that dirty. Yeah, I had been planning on using false lashes today, but I decided, nah, this is enough. I've got enough on my eyes already. Don't need to. The platform that I'm filming on is my bed, actually, and that's why I need to move everything off my bed onto my desk, and then I clean off my desk later. Okay, last few comments, then I'm hopping off. You can hear someone in the background, so sorry. Da-da-da-da. You're welcome. Sonia G discontinued the squirrel brushes. Great, because I never had any of them to start with, so now I won't get questions about the squirrel brushes. Sorry for you, you're probably very upset that she discontinued the squirrel brushes, but I'm glad that I don't have to field questions on her squirrel brushes because I have absolutely 0 of them. Do I have the Sculpt one? Sculpt one is... Where is the Sculpt one? Sculpt one is this brush. So if you want to see me talk about the Sculpt one, check my channel tomorrow, and my video called the Sonia G Fundamentals plus Supplementals should be up. I did a review of this brush in one of my lives earlier. However, YouTube has the tendency to kind of make my lives disappear from my channel for about 24 hours. So if you check back tomorrow and you want to hear about the Sculpt 1 and a little bit more about it compared to the Sculpt 3 and Worker Fan, you can check back tomorrow and it will be there, hopefully, by tomorrow. But it's not on my channel right now. I did check a little earlier. So be patient. It will be there eventually. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are from. And I'll see you the next time I do a brush video. Bye.